So in this episode of Locally Owned, we're going to be talking to a very humble and amazing human being named Paul. He owns a cafe called West Village Cafe here in Cloverdale, British Columbia. This cafe was actually my mini home cafe for a long time because I used to live 2 minutes that way and I used to come here all the time. Supporting them was phenomenal. For those of you that know and followed me for a long time on my YouTube channels or my Instagram following know that I love cafes. Going to Australia, the cafe culture, the way the coffee, you guys know I love my coffee, so I would come here all the time. I'm excited to talk to Paul and kind of seeing what they've kind of taken, transition from what was originally the beginning, all the stuff that they've gone through during COVID, because there's some stuff that I noticed when I came outside here is all the marketing things that they've changed. So let's go inside and meet Paul. So as you guys saw in the intro of this specific episode of Locally Owned, we're going to be interviewing the co-founder of West Village Cafe. It's a local cafe in Surrey, Cloverdale area. Actually, I used to live really close by, so come here all the time. I was just telling Paul. Paul, welcome to Locally Owned.
Thank you.
Absolutely. So Paul, tell us a little bit about your background prior to opening West Village Cafe, making it the community name that it is today.
Sure. Born and raised in Campbell River, which is a small town. Moved here in 2005.
Yeah.
And I've been in banking, so I work with the local credit union called GNF Financial Group.
Yeah.
And no history in cafes before getting into
banking to cafes, completely different.
That's right.
Yeah.
So, how it kind of came about was, my wife and I always talked about having a small cafe when we grow old.
Yeah.
Open it from 11 to 4, and then we'll get tired, and our friends will get tired, and they go home.
It's a place to hang out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it turned into opening up the West Village Cafe once I was making a career change from insurance to banking.
And one thing you mentioned earlier, banking, pretty high stress job, you were gone all the time, kind of like, and now you've created a community. That must make you feel a lot different.
This is our goal. We're from a small town, and one of the things that we noticed when we moved here in 2005 is there's a lot of gang violence and lots of things like that going on. People are busy. They didn't really have a place to go to, and we wanted to create a place where everybody belonged.
Yeah.
Where you come from.
Yeah. It just kind of ended up making sense.
So it made sense.
That's sweet. So tell us a little bit about West Village Cafe, kind of the story behind it, the reason why is it called West Village. I know you told me earlier, we'll talk about the business section and all the changes that you had to go through this year, but give us a little bit of background about West Village Cafe.
So like I said, this is a dream come true for us. Growing up in a small town, coming here, seeing people that are busy, lots going on, a lot of things going on in the community, which not so bright in some cases. Yeah. We wanted to create a place that people can come to, and that's what drove us to the cafe. And we've thought everything through, right from the menu to the seating, which is different than other cafes. We gravitate towards technology.
Yeah.
I know a lot of cafes are removing technology so they can have the churn of people, but we wanted to create a place where people come in, hang out, and build some new friendships. And West Village, that's what bringing people together is what a village is about, and that's where the village comes from. And West, well, we're in Western Canada.
We're in Western Canada, and I love that because even coming here back when I used to live in the area, it's like you felt like you're part of a family. Whether you came in here, I just meet random people, having of course a conversation, or someone recognizes you from somewhere else to come and have a conversation. Like completely different from going to the traditional brands like Starbucks or Tim Hortons for us in Canada. Talking about some of the changes that you've made, tell us a little bit about the transition of opening it and kind of getting it started.
Opening was very interesting.
Yeah.
So, my co-founder, my wife, she's the brains of this operation.
Okay.
She's the one that makes it tick day in, day out.
Yeah.
I am with the credit union, so I work there during that's my full-time job. But opening this cafe was very interesting because I know nothing about restaurants. So we worked with a consulting company that helped us build out our vision, which was, like I said, bringing people together, creating a place where everybody belongs, creating an atmosphere which creates conversations. And how do you do that? You do that by having a menu, which if you saw the food, it's infused with every culture.
Everything, yeah.
The seating is designed where, as opposed to traditional cafes where they're facing towards exterior walls and windows, we face them towards each other with an artificial barrier in the middle because Sometimes you want your privacy.
Correct.
If you take a look at where the team is, my wife is very particular on cleanliness, and you go to a lot of restaurants that use dark colors.
Yeah.
She's got everything white.
Yeah. Which just makes it even more welcoming because it's bright and you kind of want to hang out longer.
And you can't hide anything.
No, nothing. Everything is seen immediately.
Yeah. So it needs to be clean.
Yeah, that is amazing. And for someone whose family grows up and like kind of going down that natural route, and kind of like my wife does not feed our kid like our baby ketchup or anything like that. And the reason being is she wants it straight up from built or made fresh. Let's jump inside and kind of chat a little bit more, because this kind of touches a few points of home to me, because growing up, I think I told you earlier, I grew up in India for part of my life. Like my uncle owned a cafe back then. It was kind of cool. And I think that's where it's like me, I've got this itch of cafes, and I've even said to the boys, like some point in my life, I want to just buy a cafe because like the cultures and stuff. So let's go inside and have a chat about a little bit more about West Village. So Paul, tell us a little bit during the COVID. Like obviously you guys had a phenomenal launch. You guys have had some cool people come through. We'll kind of touch on that a little bit. How did that affect you?
You know what? Our model is a dine-in model. Right? Our whole vision was to create a place where people come in, like I said, outside, sit down, have conversations, build a community, right? COVID changed that. So, where you've got a model where 95% of your business is dine-in, we had to reinvent. We had to do things differently. We had to leverage, takeout. The community has been very supportive to us.
Of you guys,
When we were closed, we didn't know if we were going to reopen, and people were buying gift cards in hopes that we would open again.
Just to support you guys.
Just to support us.
So, I did that with a few places too. So
so you know what? When you've got a community that's that supportive, it hurts not to be able to bring them in to dine. And you need to make money to stay in business. Right? But that's not our vision to make a ton of money. As long as we can create an environment where people belong and hang out and create conversations, that's our goal. So we had to look at a dine-out model. We put more signage outside. Fortunately, a year ago, prior to COVID, we'd actually launched an app.
Oh, wow.
And people thought that was crazy, launching an app with a one-stop shop, but it had a rewards program. And sometimes luck has things to do with it. But that allowed us to introduce contactless right away. And
so you were contactless before contactless needed to become a necessity.
Pretty much.
That's kind of cool.
That worked out well.
You went down launching the app prior to, when people were kind of adapting to technology, and you went in and did it before Tim Hortons, which is right next door to you, and Starbucks, etc. What made you want to do that?
Consumer behavior. You take a look at consumers today, people want technology. They want to make it easy for them to do business. It's got to be fast, it's got to be quick, it's got to be on time. So we wanted to create that experience which follows our model. Like if you take a look at our island, we've got plugins, we've got HDMI ports, you've got cafes downtown shutting down their Wi-Fi. We're going down the complete opposite direction, and we believe we need to gravitate towards technology, not to run.
Not to run away from it, which is a huge thing from a cafe culture. The whole point around cafes, and like I mentioned this outside, is like I love cafes. Like going to Australia for the amount of time that I spend there, and it's like I harp on this all the time. And it's like the culture going there is like they're so focused on connecting with people. Over here, a cafe is considered, like I said, a Starbucks. Most like the average person's cafe. But then you come into a place like this where it's like you can just be sitting here having a coffee, reading a book, working on a laptop, and somebody else can be sitting there, and all of a sudden they say something, it sparks up a conversation. You never know where that can lead.
No, and we've seen a lot of that. I've seen photographers sitting there doing their work and having a conversation with someone else, got a camera sitting in front of them, and then all of a sudden they're collaborating. They're sharing jobs or sharing best practices. A lot of exciting things like that.
Building friendships from that, like even just like simple friendships that could come from having a basic conversation with someone.
All right, sure.
So tell us a little bit about the technology. I want to kind of know a little bit your thought pattern around obviously adapting to technology heavily while you said downtown cafes. And I didn't even know this until you mentioned this earlier, which doesn't make any sense to me because the whole point of people coming to cafes, like someone like myself who's been working from home for 9 years, I like to de-stress, come out to a cafe and work because like it just kind of changes my work environment. Right? It makes me a little bit more productive. So what made you want to adapt towards technology whereas everybody else is going the other way?
People communicate differently. Right? I want to create a place where people belong and sit down, but you also have to have that technology there because of necessity. People also communicate via technology. Right? Look at COVID. Look how much Zoom conversations there are.
Insane.
All this kind of stuff. So technology is a necessity. It's what people need.
Yeah.
You will walk into our cafe, whereas you walk into a lot of other cafes, you will see conversations happening.
Yeah.
You will always see a buzz. Is it happening right now? No, obviously not. Social distancing, etc. Which is, isn't
changes a little bit.
Yeah, and it needs to be done. We are in the middle of a pandemic, and it's important to follow the rules, and those conversations will come when this passes.
Once whatever vaccine comes out or whatever the governments decide to end up doing, it'll change a little bit for sure. So tell us a little bit, what were some of the pivots, like some key pivots in your business during COVID? Like you obviously shut down for 3 months.
Yes.
Okay.
We did completely shut down. Yeah. It was the right thing to do. Our staff is our family. Yeah. Our community is our family. Yeah. So the right thing to do was shut down. So we did. At that time, you didn't know what this was. We didn't know how to deal with it. And then when we reopened, we originally opened with takeout and curbside. And now we're open again with social distancing, following all the regulations. And again, like I said, we had to change a bit of our marketing. Recommend customers utilize the app to promote contactless. Things like that would allow safety and also allow us to be able to continue to support our community.
Continue going down that route. Now, so when you open back up, one thing that you did that's kind of unique and cool, and I really like that, is everybody else went and invested probably thousands of dollars into plexiglass. You didn't. What did you do that's different?
We social distanced one.
Yeah. They followed every rule.
We did.
But it's in a very unique way. And I like this a lot because it makes it more friendly. It makes the environment more cool.
Yeah. We do have some plexiglass where it's needed behind our stations and stuff. However, although we're going through a pandemic, people are going through depression. People are going through a lot of things because it's a different environment we're not used to. Yeah. We wanted to bring smiles to people's faces, right? That's the whole village. Yeah. We utilize stuffed animals and
so cool.
Utilize them to social distance. So if there's a stuffed animal sitting in the seat, it's occupied.
Which is so smart because at the end of the day, it makes the entire mentality of it makes it welcoming. I like the psychology of that because part of my background is human behavior and psychology, and two is it brings that inner child out in you because when you come here for a coffee or a lunch or breakfast, it's you see a stuffed animal, no matter what, it makes you smile. Just because it's different, it's cute, it's very, very thoughtful from the perspective of it's just not another restaurant trying to separate it. I remember going to a restaurant recently for my mom's birthday. We were up in Kelowna during the summer, and it's there's 11 of us. Obviously, you can't do 11, but it's this is so weird. Where it's some of us are here, then there's a big plexiglass, and there's 6 feet in the middle, and then it's somebody else. It just doesn't make you feel like you want to go out anymore. Yeah. It changes that. So going into that, what have you done? Have you done anything in terms of adding on? Obviously, you guys have done a little bit more marketing on the outside. What else have you guys done from the marketing perspective to kind of increase, whether it's takeouts, catering, stuff that doesn't involve the interaction here?
So I'll tell you an interesting story. When we actually opened, our catering program was individually packed catering.
Okay.
And our customers said to us that we want the big platters, we want this, that. Yeah. So we pivoted. Yeah. To meet that demand. Yeah. Now we've taken a step back and we've actually gone back to originally packed catering. Yeah. So catering is definitely one piece, and individually wrapped catering is important. So everybody's got their own separate box. Yeah. And then the other one is through Instagram, etc. Just talking about takeout because we do offer that. It is a new model for our customers, or a new way of dining with us. Yeah. And like you said, just the outside. Yeah, and the utilization. Yeah.
On the social media side of things, you guys have a phenomenal social media, beautifully designed page where it's you guys have invested, obviously kept to the brand, kept to what the brand speaks for, bright colors, inviting, welcoming. Have you guys seen a change in terms of what's worked on Instagram? Just because the reason why I'm asking is because I think there's a few things that we can do, and I can share this with you here in a minute, is that you can use to increase volume of sales, whether it's inbound customers. I can't guarantee that because obviously that's people's decisions, but I think just volume of sales is a few things that you guys can do. But have you noticed where people are coming because of Instagram, or is it just because of the community originally?
Community for the most part. Yeah. Our community has been very supportive. We're local. Everything that we do here is local. Yeah. Everything that we can. Yeah. Everywhere from our ingredients to suppliers, vendors, anything that's local will be local. So there's a bit of give and take there.
Correct.
But I think at the end of the day, consumers have actually become a bit more aware because you now have time to go on Instagram and they're seeing the ads, but being more proactive and regular in terms of your ads and making sure that you're doing sponsorship ads, etc. Like
I was going to say, so you guys are spending a little bit on advertising as well, like on even just locally around the neighborhood in terms of Facebook ads or Instagram ads. You're putting some money behind that.
So traditionally, since we opened, we did not.
Okay.
Our belief is not our marketing budget is whatever we do, we put back into the community.
Okay.
So we have different things that we do throughout the year, which give back to our community, and we've had to actually start for this piece. To stay in business, we did need to
start spending some money.
On
because a lot of businesses that I've seen, and I love that, because you don't have to always spend money for marketing. You can do things in the community like we talked about earlier. But in times like this is where I think most businesses don't realize they need to start investing in their marketing to get people to know who they are versus just kind of, retract and be like, oh, I'm just going to wish this changes. I hope this changes. So I like the fact that you guys pivoted in that part. Tell me a little bit about that. Like, spending a couple $100 a month, I'm guessing, in advertising. How has that helped you guys? Like, what are you guys doing that's different? Are you guys running promos? Anything different?
Just an awareness of our products, and really talking a lot about the types of food we have.
Yeah.
Right. The different offers we have, utilization of the app. Yeah. Marketing that we do have keto friendly. We do have dietary restrictions. Type food that will meet the needs of any person that walks through these doors.
Walks through the doors. Now, so the one thing that I think that you guys can do a little bit differently, and obviously you guys can implement this, and we can share this after the episode with you guys, is using Instagram. So you guys have a phenomenal, beautifully designed Instagram, but it's like getting people's information. So like, you guys have the app, getting people to download the app. What I would do is I would add a social function before getting them to download the app, and the reason being is you want to control that ecosystem. Right, so it's like Instagram now has a QR code too. They just, I think it was just before COVID, they just launched it, but I don't think they publicly launched it to everybody. But you can, so you can literally print out your QR code. And we did this test with a vegan restaurant in LA. So one of our clients is a vegan restaurant in LA, because now think about 100% vegan.
Yeah.
Like your niche market is very niche, right? So we're like, how do we get creative with this? So we use it to a simple way where it's like you can get them to scan a QR code or even put it on your tables like everybody else and says, follow us on Instagram and DM us for, DM us West Village, because they can DM you a specific keyword, and you can have an instant reply that goes out that says, thank you for, X, Y, and Z. What's your name, email, phone number? So now you're collecting data, and all you want to do is incentivize for that data, because most restaurants, and I've done a lot of work with restaurants in the past, downtown specifically, is most restaurants forget that if you can control your customer list, you can control the amount of revenue that's predictable coming in here. So getting them to download, let's say you get them to download the your app through the DMs, but I would start with social first, because then at least you have them in your ecosystem. Then what I would do one step from there is maybe once a month, do a family dinner giveaway. Where it's like a giveaway meal for 4 and a bottle of wine or something, just something very, very simple. And what that ends up happening is people want to start coming and kind of sharing it, because you also get people to share it on their social media. Now you're tapping into somebody else's audience, which is a huge part. But part 2 of that is when you give away a winner, what I would suggest do is every single person that was new that entered that specific month is give them a second place prize, and in that second place prize be like, hey, all of you guys get a bottle of wine, or all of you guys get a free appetizer when you come in next time and order dinner with us. So now you're incentivizing people to come right back in to be part of that. And I can almost guarantee just a simple add-on to your social media will increase revenue, whether it's takeout, whether it's inbound, or kind of doing that. But it's like just kind of keeping the community and keeping the ecosystem moving.
Yeah, for sure.
Like something simple just like that, because most restaurants, I think, for me, like I said, I grew up in an environment growing up where it's like my family owned cafes, they've owned restaurants, my uncle owns a supply kitchen now, and it's just like, it's one of those situations where it's like we get so into the day-to-day of running a kitchen, because it takes a lot to run a kitchen. It's like, but we forget that it's like our customers are the ones that we need to know. Like, I'm sure you have a relationship with the ones that come in and out of your doors, but what about the ones that just order online and you see them maybe once every 10 days? What if I could have that conversation with them socially? The biggest mistake that I think that people do, whether it's using the app or even, you could even do one where it's like incentivizing people to follow and then download the app, because now you can get the data through the app, I'm sure, however it's built, and then whoever downloads the app, one lucky person gets free dinner. Like, you've still got them to do something. But the big mistake, and I see this with a lot of small businesses, is they do the front end giveaway, but then they don't give it to the rest of the people that didn't win. most of your money is going to come from giving people something else if they didn't win. So you kind of make that community feel of saying, okay, how do we make everybody else feel like they've won? Yeah. And all you need is a free bottle of wine or a free 6-pack of beer. If it's depending on what you're doing, for you guys, it's going to be a free appetizer, but they got to buy something else. Yeah. So you kind of you navigate your costs that way. A lot of people have said this has been some of the craziest years of their life. Some people have had it worse than others, but I think everybody across the board in this entire planet can say it's been one of the toughest mental years for themselves. So Paul, tell the audience a little bit, where can they find you? You know, how can they download the app? Kind of just, this is your, plug it as much as you want to plug it here, and we'll take it and promote it for you.
Awesome. Well, the app's very simple. You can just go on the App Store and download, search West Village Cafe, and our app will show up. We are on Highway 10, 152nd, in Surrey, BC, in the Rodeo Plaza.
Yeah.
So
you can't miss it.
Yeah, come on in, check us out, and be a part of our community.
Absolutely. So for all of you guys looking at this, whether that'll be in the Surrey region, because majority of this will be promoted through the Surrey area. If you're looking at this outside of Surrey, drive out, support local. This is the reason to why we're doing locally owned. And thanks, Paul, for your time today.
Thank you very much for coming.
Looking forward to it. Absolutely. Cheers. So as you guys saw, we just had a phenomenal episode with Paul. Humble human being, like I said earlier. Him and his wife have founded the West Village Cafe, run it from the bottom, like they literally run it like they love it from the bottom of their hearts. I love coming in and having a chat with small business owners like this that really put an emphasis on community, put an emphasis on wanting to give back, and put an emphasis on caring truly about what they do from the business perspective. It's businesses like this that make me want to support small businesses. It's businesses like this that you should be, supporting, especially in times like today, during these crazy pandemic times where people have uncertainty. They don't know some of the businesses when their doors are going to open, when they're not. I really hope you guys enjoyed it because it was phenomenal. I wish you guys were there to just listen to the conversations post and prior to the entire interview of just how much he cares about the people that come in through his doors, how much he cares to just make sure that people are happy, putting a smile on their face with the food that they get to eat. So I look forward to seeing you guys in the next episode of Locally Owned. In the meantime, do me a big favor, hit the big thumbs up, leave us a comment about what you like, leave us an idea of what type of businesses you want us to interview. We are literally expanding this and going as hard as we can to get into all different kinds of walks of life and give you guys some unique ideas through the entire process. And one last thing, do not forget to subscribe because I look forward to seeing you on the next episode.